I want to begin this lecture by going through some of the symptoms that a woman may have with a hormonal imbalance. When a young girl gets or develops breasts at the age of 8 and gets her periods at 9, that is a hormonal imbalance. Do you know what normal is? Most people don't know what normal is today. Normal would be between 16 and 18 years of age, but you hardly ever hear of a girl where such a thing happens today. Most girls are getting their periods about 13, and that still is fairly reasonable, but when a young girl is getting her periods at 9, that is definitely a hormonal imbalance. Another symptom of a girl having a hormonal imbalance would be very heavy periods, very painful periods. Also tender breasts at period time. Premenstrual tension is a symptom of a hormonal imbalance. How many men and women think that that is normal? But it is not. Another symptom of a hormonal imbalance in a woman would be depression, heart disease, cervical cancer, also cysts on the ovaries, fibroids in the uterus, endometriosis, breast cancer. These are some of the symptoms of a woman having a hormonal imbalance. What about a man? A hormonal imbalance in a man can be revealed in a few ways. One is low sperm count, PD, called penile dysfunction, inability to hold an erection. Another symptom of a man having a hormonal imbalance would be prostate problems. We didn't even know what the word prostate meant 20 years ago. It's almost a household name today. Another symptom, too much of a female hormone can cause a man to be effeminate, and too much of the male hormone in a female can cause a woman to be masculine. So see, these are some of the symptoms of a hormonal imbalance in men and women. What I want to do now is I want to show you how the monthly cycle should run in a woman. And then I want to show you what throws the monthly cycle out. And then I want to end this lecture by showing you how you can bring that cycle back into balance. Notice that our sex hormones are made from cholesterol. Very important lipid in the human body is cholesterol. You can have too high cholesterol levels and you can have too low cholesterol levels. Anything under 3 is too low. In fact, ideally, a person should not go under 3.5. From cholesterol, the body makes pregnenolone, and from pregnenolone, the body makes progesterone. Progesterone is a key hormone because from progesterone, estrogen is made, from progesterone, testosterone is made, and from progesterone, our adrenal hormones are made. I'm going to explain the monthly cycle like a dance, because it is like a dance. Different players come onto the stage at different times of the month. Let me introduce you to our star players in the dance. One is progesterone, and progesterone is going to be wearing a green dress. And progesterone's nickname is happy hormone. Can't have too much of this one, can we? The other player in the dance is estrogen, and estrogen is going to be wearing a red dress, and estrogen's role in the human body is that of a cell proliferator, causing massive cell growth. It is estrogen that causes a skinny young girl to develop into a beautiful, shapely woman, but if estrogen levels remain high, that beautiful, shapely woman can get out of shape. Day 1 of the cycle is the day that a woman begins to menstruate. And day 1 of the cycle, progesterone levels are low, or progesterone is backstage, so to speak. Day 1 of the monthly cycle, estrogen levels are also low. But by day 7, estrogen levels rise up until day 11. Estrogen is now the star player in the dance. What effect does estrogen have at this time of a month in a woman's body? Let's go to the stage where the dance is played out. These are the reproductive organs of a woman's body. This is her uterus. These are her fallopian tubes. These are the ovaries, and that is the birth canal. And between the birth canal and the uterus is the cervix, right in there. What effect does estrogen have at this time of the month? Estrogen causes massive cell growth in the lining of the uterus, causing the blood nest to develop. As a cell proliferator, that's what it's good at, causing massive cell growth. Estrogen is also causing massive cell growth in the ovaries, causing an egg to develop. Estrogen also causes a form of lubricant to be released in the birth canal. By day 14, a fully developed egg bursts forth from the ovary. The little filaments on the end of the fallopian tube grab that little egg and pull it up into the fallopian tubes. The fallopian tubes are ever moving forward like this, causing that egg to move up, up. The hole where the egg bursts forth develops a blister, and that blister is called the corpus luteum. I'm writing corpus luteum in green because corpus luteum is the main site of progesterone production in a woman's body. Can you see by this illustration how important it is for a woman to ovulate every month? Because every month that the woman ovulates, her corpus luteum is made, ensuring proper levels of progesterone. And as you can see, progesterone is a very important hormone as the precursor for all the other hormones. So by day 14, 15, 16, estrogen is given the message it can go backstage now. No need for estrogen anymore. We have our blood nest, we have our egg, we have our lubricant. By day 14, with the development of corpus luteum, progesterone levels begin to rise. At this time of the month, progesterone is having a ripening effect on the lining of the uterus, putting the finishing touches on the uterus. I liken progesterone to the plasterers and the painters. Progesterone has another effect. As the happy hormone, it heightens a woman's mood at this time of the month to the point of increasing her sexual desire at this time of the month. But progesterone has another effect, and that is on the cervix. This little plug in here, which is the seal between the birth canal and the uterus. Let me magnify it for you and show you what's happening. Usually, the cervix looks like that, two lips with a mucus plug. Under the effect of progesterone, the mucus plug goes, the lips come up a little tighter, and also, as well as that, a special form of lubricant is released around the cervix, designed specifically to facilitate the entry of sperm up into the uterus. So you can see the stages set for the entry of man. Did you know that between 500 and 200 million sperm are released with one ejaculation? If the sperm meet this cervix, very difficult to gain entry. If the sperm meet this cervix, that lubricant literally grabs the sperm and accelerates it or shoots it way up and into the uterus. It's got a long journey, a long way to go. And some of the sperm go down the wrong road. There's no road map. Some of them go down the right road, and aha, they've found their prize, which is the egg. I saw a photograph one day of 15 sperm all trying to gain entry into one egg, but only one does. Occasionally two, that's when the twins share the placenta. Did you know that when the sperm gains entry into the egg, within a matter of days, there's a division to two cells, and when those two cells are created through the division, the DNA of a new human being is perfectly intact. What happens with the conception of a new human being? Progesterone levels soar 200%. Whoa. No wonder we often say when a woman's pregnant, oh, she's just blossoming. That's because her happy hormone levels are nice and high. Whereas estrogen is not one hormone, estrogen is a family of three. There is estrone, often called E1, and it has strong cell proliferator action. Estradiol, often called E2. It also has strong cell proliferator action, whereas estriol is the delicate hormone. And it is estriol levels that rise in pregnancy. Sometimes called the protective estrogen. So what happens if there is no conception? Then by day 26, progesterone levels are dropping. By day 26, estrogen levels are dropping. When both of those levels drop, then the blood supply to the uterus is cut. And when the blood supply to the uterus is cut, then the blood nest falls away, and once again we are at day 1 of the monthly cycle, which is the day that a woman begins to menstruate. Before I move on and show you what causes a disruption of these hormones, I'd like to mention a couple of things. And one is a pap smear. What is a pap smear? It is a little scrape or a nick taken out of the cervix, and they test for abnormal cells. Let's say a woman has a pap smear, and then that night she is intimate with her husband. When sperm goes through the prostate gland of a man, it takes on an immune suppressant property. If it didn't, no sperm would survive in woman's body because her immune system would rise to attack. Because of the immune suppressant property of sperm, when woman's immune system rises to attack, because sperm is an alien, her immune system is knocked back somewhat because of the immune suppressant property of sperm, and so sperm is able to get through. But let's say a woman has just had a pap smear and her immune system is healing that wound. Then she's intimate with her husband that night, and her immune system has to stand back in the presence of sperm, and so it cannot tend the wound. Let's say she's a sexually active woman, a very sexually active woman. Let's say this is happening 2 nights out of 3. 6 months later, she has another pap smear. They happen to take a little scrape on the same spot. The test comes back, abnormal cells. What caused the abnormal cells? The first pap smear that was never allowed to heal. Women should be told that for 4 weeks after a pap smear not to allow sperm to enter her. One lady said, my husband can't wait 4 weeks. I said, well, he must wear a condom, but the sperm must not enter because of the immune suppressant property of sperm. The amazing thing about the human body is memory. And when a woman's husband's sperm enters her, it eventually has a memory. And so the sperm enters, her immune system rises to attack, and then it says, oh, it's all right, it's just husband, and stands back. And so the sperm can get through. But can you imagine how damaging it is if a woman has multiple partners, and also in the act of homosexuality? But what causes the imbalance? That's what I'd like to look at now. Number 1, let's make a list. What causes the imbalance? In 1957, the first contraceptive pill was introduced to men and women. Why do I say men? Because men, of course, played a role because it's their wives that were on the pill. And I've had some women say to me, my husband said I was not to go on the pill. They knew there was something wrong. And the other reason men are affected, if a woman's on the pill for 5 or 7 years before she gives birth to her man child, then he is affected. The 1960s was called the sexual revolution. Women wanted to be able to have sex without falling pregnant. Men and women have are and will continue to pay a very high price for this so-called sexual freedom. What is the pill? The pharmaceutical companies grow acres and acres of Mexican wild yam. That Mexican wild yam contains a plant chemical called diosgenin. And in a laboratory, diosgenin can be converted to progesterone. Called progesterone because it has an identical molecular structure to the progesterone that is made in woman's body. So the pharmaceutical companies cannot patent that. They can only patent something new, something they create. So they add a few more atoms in one area and come up with a synthetic estrogen. They add a few more atoms in another area and come up with a synthetic progesterone. They cannot call it progesterone, so it's called progestin or progestone. These synthetic hormones, when they're taken into a woman's body, are fed into that biochemical pathway that the body uses to make its own hormones, and it causes a disruption. And the body's not sure what's happening. There's a disruption. So it thinks, I must be pregnant. So it stops releasing the egg. Then the woman doesn't fall pregnant. But if a woman stops releasing the egg, can you see corpus luteum's not being made? Let me show you what's happening month after month on the pill. Our precursor should be progesterone with estrogen underneath. Month after month on the pill, with the synthetic estrogens, estrogen levels are rising. Month after month on the pill with no corpus luteum being made, can you see what's happening? We've got a situation, sadly too common today. It's called estrogen dominance and progesterone deficiency. Estrogen is a good slave, but a bad master. Now the good slave, bad master has become the master. Where are our estrogen levels now? Way up here. Where are our progesterone levels now? Way down here. And how does the woman feel the week before her period? Watch out, she'll bite your head off. The good news that I can give you today is premenstrual tension is not normal and it can be reversed. We need our happy hormone. But let's have a look at estrogen, way up here with its cell proliferator action. Now with estrogen levels that high, we've got cysts developing on the ovaries, we've got fibroids developing on the uterus, we've got abnormal cells being developed on the cervix, we've got lumps in the breast developing, we've got breast cancer. Too much estrogen is causing too much endometrium. Endometrium is the name of the lining of the uterus. So now the endometrium, being made in excessive amount, starts to wander through the abdominal wall. That's called endometriosis. You may have heard of it. And then on the 26th day, when both the levels drop and the blood nest bleeds, all these pockets bleed, and that causes excruciating pain for the woman.